Let's talk a little bit about using the Icom 7300 as a shortwave receiver. Now, the Icom 7300 is a fabulous ham radio. It does single sideband, CW, digital modes, about anything you want to do on ham radio. The Icom 7300 is going to be right there with you, helping you do it. But sometimes we want to get outside the ham bands and listen to shortwave radio. Just listen to what's going on in the world. And the Icom 7300 is a real good radio for that. There's a couple of small things we need to do to set it up for that and to make life easier. And I'm going to show you what those are and show you a trick or two. Now, this is not the end-all, be-all definitive guide to shortwave listening using the Icom radio. That is not what this is. This is quick, dirty, easy, getting set up to listen to shortwave without being restrained by the usual ham radio conventions. So, let's get started. First thing we want to do, well, let's just, there's a 40 meter single sideband broadcast. That's a QSO. Sounds good. But, 40 meters exists between 7100 and 7300. We're going to be getting way outside of that. So to do that, we might want to see where the stations are. So let's change our display. We're going to go away from the meter. And we're going to put it on scope. That's top left-hand corner. Scope. All right. Now, this 40 meter QSO we were listening to shows up as this vertical line right here. And each one of these vertical lines is some kind of a signal. It may not be a ham radio QSO. It may be a beacon. It may be a digital mode. We don't know. We'd have to listen to it to find out. But let's get outside the ham band and see what's out there. All right? So we're going to do a couple of things. Just a couple of things. First thing we're going to do, we're going to get off the lower sideband. And we're going to go to AM radio. Okay? We're on AM now. We're picking up the AM portion of the band. Another thing we're going to do, I've got an antenna tuner that has tuned me in to 40 meters real good. But we're not going to be transmitting. So we don't want the restrictions that an antenna tuner provides. So we're going to turn our tuner to bypass. So now our radio signal is flowing directly through the tuner, and the tuner's not having any impact on it at all. You can see we picked up a lot more vertical lines here. All right, so let's go down to, I don't know, let's go about right here. There's a vertical line like right there. Let's listen. Let's go down a little bit further. A lot of activity here. Okay. We're going to turn our RF. RF is the big ring behind the volume knob. We're going to turn it counterclockwise. All this blue foggy stuff here, that's noise. We're going to turn the RF down. Look at those station markers pop up. It's much quieter than it was. Okay. It's a little bit hard to understand. So the last thing we're going to do, right here, where it says filter, We're going to listen to see which filter sounds the best. Definitely worse. Okay, that sounds pretty good. So we've got an English language station broadcasting an interview or a panel discussion in English. Yay. Who in the world are we listening to? Well, there's a simple way to find out. We can listen for a station ID, but they may not give that for 15, 20, 30 minutes. There's a website called short-wave.info. All right, short-wave.info. And this is it. We can tell it, find stations broadcasting on 60-70, give or take 5 kilohertz, and search now. And look at that. These are all the stations broadcasting at the moment on or near frequency 60-70. Now, the ones with the beige stripe, those are stations that are active and broadcasting right this minute. So you can see on 60-70 is pretty active. You've got CFRX Toronto. You've got a German station, Rohrbach Val. It's on 60-70. And the Voice of Korea is also on 60-70. Okay? Can you see that? Now I'm guessing from the accents, those are not Voice of Korea. They sound more like Canada than they do German. Matter of fact, it tells us that the German station is broadcasting in German, and Voice of Korea is broadcasting in Japanese, and Toronto is broadcasting in English. So that is Toronto. All right, so short-wave.info is going to give us a pretty good directory of what stations are out there. All right, here's a Spanish language station, and it's on 60-30. Let's try our little trick again. Find stations broadcasting on 60-30. Now, okay, we've got KVP Calgary, which is broadcasting in English. We do have a Spanish station. Radio Marti. So that's Radio Marti is kind of like, well, it's broadcast to Cuba. And it is in Spanish. Let's see. There's something in Afar language. There's English. All right. So the only Spanish language station we have right now is on 60-30 is Radio Marti. Think of that Radio Marti as being Radio Free Cuba. Now, We have figured out how to bypass our tuner, get a visual representation of the stations that are out there. We've gone from lower sideband to AM. We've changed our filter so it sounds a little bit better for broadcast radio. What if you run into a station that's not on short-wave.info? What if you run into that? Well, it depends. It could be there's a broadcast station, a commercial broadcast station, or a shortwave station that's just not on the schedule. These schedules are somehow updated manually, and station broadcast schedules change frequently. They'll change frequencies, they'll change times and days of operation, and it's got to be a struggle to keep up with all that. But there are some stations that just pop up out of the blue, operate 30 minutes to 2 hours, and they're gone. Their broadcast might be filled with strange music or popular music, sound effects, gongs and chimes and dogs barking and Lord knows what. They frequently don't have any kind of an announcer. And if you find a station like that and it's not on any list and it's just bizarre, it's out there, you've probably found a pirate radio station. And those are always kind of exciting to hear. The pirate radio station is illegal. They don't have a license. They shouldn't be broadcasting where they are. And they'll be out there really, really short term, 15 to 30 minutes, maybe an hour, maybe 2 hours. But then they're gone. They want to broadcast and then disappear before anybody can triangulate on their location and figure out where they're broadcasting from. All right. So this is sort of the primer. So this is sort of a primer on getting started shortwave listening on the Icom 7300. Now you've got to explore and experiment with your radio. You can't break it by experimenting. Don't be afraid to change settings. If you get totally and completely lost, you can do a factory reset. It's going to wipe out your memory and wipe out all the settings you've done, but it's going to put you back at square one and fix anything that you've screwed up beyond redemption. Check the manual, or you just go online and say, Google, how do I reset an Icom 7300? And it'll tell you what buttons to push, and then you power it up, and your radio has reset, and you can start over. That's it. That's the primer. That's the 101 on shortwave listening using an Icom 7300 from the folks at fatcat.parts. 73